On October 8, 2009, a family of 3 drove into the remote woods of southeastern Oklahoma. They were never seen alive again. Their truck would be found locked, their cash would be left behind, and their bodies wouldn't be discovered for another 4 years. This is the disturbing mystery of the Jamison family. Bobby Dale Jamison, his wife Sherilyn, and their 6-year-old daughter Madison lived in Eufaula, Oklahoma. On the day they vanished, they had reportedly gone to view a 40-acre plot of land they were considering purchasing, planning to eventually live there in a storage container they already owned. The only witness who saw them that day was a man living in the mountains nearby, who told authorities he saw only the family, no one else, in the area. 8 days later, on October 16th, hunters discovered the Jamisons' truck abandoned and locked, about a quarter-mile from where the family was last known to be. Inside, investigators found Bobby's wallet, Sherilyn's purse, jackets, a GPS unit, Bobby's cell phone, and remarkably, the family's pet dog, malnourished but still alive. They also found something far stranger: $32,000 in cash stashed in a bank bag beneath the driver's seat. There was no sign of struggle inside the vehicle. The former sheriff investigating the case later stated he believed the family had been forced to stop and exit the truck to meet someone they recognized, and that they had left either willingly or by force. GPS data from the truck showed the family had traveled farther up a nearby hillside before returning to where the vehicle was found. Investigators followed those coordinates and discovered footprints leading deeper into the woods. The very next day, over 300 searchers, including law enforcement and volunteers, combed the area by air and on foot. The search turned up nothing and was eventually called off. 4 years later, on November 16, 2013, hunters scouting for deer stumbled upon partial skeletal remains belonging to 2 adults and 1 child, less than 3 miles from where the truck had been found. Investigators later recovered shoes, clothing fragments, adult teeth, and bone fragments. DNA testing confirmed what everyone feared. These were the remains of the missing Jamison family. The state medical examiner reported that a definitive cause of death could not be determined due to the incomplete condition of the remains. There was no clear evidence of trauma, though it couldn't be entirely ruled out either. Disease could not be ruled out. Animal activity after death had also damaged the remains further. The official report ultimately concluded the deaths occurred under, quote, suspicious circumstances. Also never recovered were Sherilyn's registered handgun and a missing briefcase. Both Bobby and Sherilyn had been unemployed at the time of their disappearance, living on disability payments following a car accident. Yet no one, including Sherilyn's own mother, could explain where the $32,000 in cash had come from. The former sheriff stated there were no signs the family had been in any kind of trouble or was planning to start a new life elsewhere. One of the strangest pieces of evidence was security footage recovered from the Jamison home, recorded the very day they disappeared. It showed Bobby and Sherilyn making repeated, silent trips between their house and vehicle as they packed their belongings, moving in a manner the former sheriff described as, quote, trance-like. At several points, the footage shows them simply stopping and staring into space. So what actually happened to the Jamison family? There are several competing theories. The first suggests the family simply got lost and died of exposure. But weather records from the time show temperatures only dropped to around 40 degrees, not nearly cold enough to be fatal within days. And the remains were found less than 3 miles from their truck, which still contained their cell phone, GPS, and supplies, items that would have helped them find their way back if they had simply wandered off. The second theory points to murder-suicide within the family itself. Investigators discovered an 11-page letter inside the truck, written by Sherilyn to Bobby, accusing him of becoming withdrawn and reclusive. A second letter found at their home reportedly referenced death. The former sheriff stated bluntly that this family seemed, quote, obsessed with death. However, Sherilyn's mother has consistently insisted both parents were loving and devoted, stating she believes someone else was responsible because neither parent would ever have allowed harm to come to their daughter unless they themselves had been harmed first. The third theory implicates Bobby's own father. Just 6 months before the family disappeared, Bobby had filed a protective order against him, alleging his father had threatened to kill him and his entire family on 2 separate occasions, and had once struck him with a vehicle. Bobby described his father in court documents as a dangerous man who believed himself above the law, with alleged connections to prostitution, gangs, and methamphetamine. That protective order was ultimately dismissed by a judge just months before the disappearance. Bobby had also been actively suing his father over unpaid wages at the family's gas station at the time. The father passed away in December 2009, just 2 months after the family vanished. The fourth and most unusual theory involves a cult. Sherilyn's mother has publicly stated her belief that her daughter was killed by a religious cult operating in southeastern Oklahoma, claiming Sherilyn's name had appeared on some sort of hit list. After a television special covered the case, a friend of Sherilyn's received an anonymous call from a woman claiming to have once belonged to a white supremacist group that kept records of people considered threats. Adding to the strangeness, investigators reportedly found a witchcraft-related book inside the Jamison home, which a close friend insists was purchased only as a joke. However, the family's own pastor later claimed Bobby had confessed to reading what he described as a, quote, satanic Bible. Mysterious graffiti was also found scrawled on the family's storage container, referencing cats being killed and warning that, quote, witches don't like their black cat killed. The pastor additionally claimed Bobby once called him asking about, quote, special bullets capable of harming spirits, after the family reported experiencing paranormal activity in their home. The fifth and final theory suggests drug involvement. Investigators have acknowledged this possibility, but found no concrete evidence connecting the family to drug activity. Still, many find it suspicious that $32,000 in untraceable cash was found in their vehicle with no documented source. Critics of this theory point out that the family would have been unlikely to bring their 6-year-old daughter along to something as dangerous as a drug transaction. The former sheriff who investigated this case for years put it simply. Most investigations eventually narrow down to one clear answer. This one never did. Every lead pointed in a completely different direction, and none of them ever connected. To this day, no suspect has ever been named, and no charges have ever been filed. Was this a family who simply got lost? A devastating murder within their own bloodline? Or something far darker, hiding in the Oklahoma woods? What do you think happened? Drop your theory in the comments. And if you want more cases like this, subscribe to Mystery Minute. We'll be here every week, digging up the truth.